Welcome to Sock Puppet Scenarios, starring Harry Sock Puppet and Sally Sock Puppet. In today's episode, Harry and Sally seem to be talking about something serious. Let's listen in.
Sally, why are you looking so sad? Oh, Harry, I had a bad weekend. Why? What happened? Well, my mother went away for the weekend and she asked me to be in charge of the house. That sounds like fun. Did you have a party? No. Did you go dancing and stay out late? No, I didn't do anything fun. On Friday night, I started to make dinner, but it didn't work out so well. Why not? While I was cutting the onions, I started to cry. Because I was crying, I couldn't see what I was doing, and I cut myself. That's terrible. But I managed to make dinner, and then afterwards I wanted to do my laundry. But I didn't understand how to work the washing machine. I put in too much soap, and there were bubbles all over the floor of the entire house. Didn't you notice that the bubbles were coming out of the washing machine? No, I didn't see anything because I was talking on the phone. Wow, who were you talking to? I was talking to my mom and trying to explain to her why her brand new car was in the garage. And why was her brand new car in the garage? Because while I was driving home after school on Friday, a monkey jumped out in front of me and I drove into a tree. Wow, Sally, it sounds like you really had a bad weekend. Yeah, well, thankfully the monkey was okay, but my mom's car didn't survive the tree. I hope your luck improves this week. Thanks, Harry. I don't think it could get any worse.
This has been another rousing episode of Sock Puppet Scenarios. So I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Sock Puppet Scenarios. The reason for doing that was to explain the difference between the two past tenses, the two basic past tenses. So we're going to have a look at that. As I said, there are two basic ones. The first one is the simple past. You know that. We add an ed to regular verbs. So I worked, he worked, they worked. I don't add an s anywhere. Irregular, each irregular form or irregular verb has the one form as well, except the verb to be. So I saw, he ate, she went. And the verb to be is, of course, I was and they were, etc. Past progressive. Because it's past progressive, I use the past of the verb to be and I add ing to my verb. So I was working, she was working, they were working. Simple past is the simplest one. You add ed to regular verbs. So worked, studied, and planned. Irregular verbs, you have to learn them. So you'll have a list in your book, of course. To make a negative of the verb to be, or of verbs rather in the simple past, except the verb to be, you use an auxiliary, which is always did for all persons. So I, you, he, she, it, etc. You conjugate the auxiliary, so didn't or did not. And your main verb goes back to the simple form. So here's my main verb. When I make it into a negative, here is my auxiliary. And this is in the simple, or we call it the base form. I saw him, I didn't see him. They ate lunch, they didn't eat lunch. It is incorrect to say they didn't eat lunch. When you make a question, certainly with most direct information questions, again, you need an auxiliary, which is did, and your main verb goes back to the simple form. This is a trick you can use, quasvo, we call it, question word, auxiliary, subject, verb, and object. And in fact, this works with all direct questions in English, in any verb tense. So I saw him, where did is my auxiliary, you, subject, see is my verb, and him. Where did you see him? So again, auxiliary is conjugated and see is in the base form. They ate lunch. What did they eat for lunch? Or she worked last night. When did she work? We use the simple past to talk about a completed action in the past at a specified time. This is important. So you can look for keywords or think of keywords ago, last week, last night, etc., or yesterday. They met each other 3 months ago. She went away last weekend. I bought a new car yesterday. Sometimes the time is implied without saying it directly. Next, we move on to our other verb tense. Let's have a look at the examples. I was sleeping when the phone rang. What were you doing last night at 7:30? Where was he going when I saw him? While they were traveling, they got robbed. These are examples of the past progressive or past continuous. It describes an action in the past, in progress, at a specific moment. It's like the picture here. Somebody runs in with a camera and they're filming the action. And to describe that action, we use the past progressive. At 7:30 last night, I was watching Downton Abbey. My boyfriend was watching the Super Bowl. My cats were fighting. What were you doing? We also use it to talk about an action in progress in the past that was stopped or interrupted by another action. They were talking on the phone when the washing machine broke. I was driving home from school when a monkey jumped out in front of me. To conjugate it, we use the verb to be in the past. So remember to use the correct form of the verb to be. And then ing on your verb. Make sure your spelling is correct. And like the present progressive, we can only use it with action verbs. So it's incorrect to say I was remembering or I was forgetting, etc. There's a big long list. To make it negative, I just add the adverb not to my verb, and between my auxiliary and my verb, I was not working, and of course that can become a contraction of wasn't. Or she wasn't crying because she was sad. To make my question, I followed the same structure as earlier. Question word, auxiliary, subject, verb. Where were you driving to when I saw you? Why was she crying? Of course, there's much more to the past progressive and simple past than what I've explained here. You will have to look in your book for more complete explanations and exercises. Of course, you can come in to see me if you need help. You could go to the English Help Center or the Virtual Help Center. The address is right here. So I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. The sock puppet scenarios will be back to describe another grammatical lesson sometime soon. Thank you.